we've got the resurrection of the Mount Rainier Scenic Railway. What happened, how, and why? What did you guys do to get this place humming like it is now?
Drink some whiskey.
Drank some whiskey.
Always good start. I thought it was rum last night.
Well,
No,
that's a
it's
supplement.
99.9% of the time it's whiskey.
99. Our best decisions come when it's whiskey.
Okay, all right, got it.
So it shut down in March of 2020, and you and I had both sworn off railroads for eternity.
Yep.
And then
We kept in
You're
touch.
just so sick and tired of the politics and everything.
Politics, for me, at that point, I started up here in 2000 when I was 12.
Yeah.
And at that point, that was 20 years in, and it just always felt like we were spinning our wheels every single year, and it was going to go nowhere. And there was a lot of personal sacrifice. I mean, I joked about it earlier with the rebuilding of the Willamette, losing a wife,
in the deal.
and kind of a life there because I went to some really dark places in that time. And so when it got shut down, it was just like it hurt.
yeah, I mean
It hurt.
I'm on my second marriage.
Yep, it hurt. So we basically just said, that's it. For me, I was like, well, my name's tied to a fallen flag at this point. So
I think we both took a lot of it really personally.
we did.
It
Rowdy
hurts
and
you
I-
deep inside. I mean, you invested everything into
I
this.
think Rowdy and I got to a spot where we felt we had a really good business case and a really
Yep.
good plan, and we weren't getting responses from the management team and the owners at that point to be able to do it. So we had spent a lot of time having those what-if conversations.
Yeah.
And then
And,
it shut down, and a bunch of former employees created our own nonprofit to try and save it.
Yep.
But the owners wouldn't really talk
They
to
wouldn't.
us.
They wouldn't deal. One of the stipulations was that we could take it, but we had to take all the debt, which was like $1.5 million. And it was like, okay, where are we getting that? So.
And there were complications with the IRS, which
You did have,
Yep.
prior owners had some tax problems.
Uh-huh.
yeah,
And so.
and we weren't willing to take on that liability.
Yeah.
Why would you? It's their problem.
Yeah.
And there were a few other outfits that had come and talked, and I had gotten a few phone calls over the years
Mm-hmm.
from places that were looking to buy it, that had asked me about managing it. And at that point, I think you and I had put together a document of these are the issues with Mount Rainier Scenic Railway.
Yeah.
This is what it needs to survive. And I hate to say it, at that point, I think we had, a genuine friendship, so we talked regularly.
We talked regularly. The place shut down, and
moved out to Eastern Washington, but we still talked at least once a week.
well, there for a while it was pretty sporadic. We talked at least once a month, and the conversation would always come back to, God, we could have done so much more if we would have been given the rope. And so then we actually started having those what if conversations, and
It took us a while, though.
it did. It took us a solid year and a half.
Before we were ready to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Even then, it was just sort of a BSing.
BSing, and then we kind of started having more what if conversations, and we always could, because Brian had been on the board of the nonprofit that we put together, and he was still here, so we
were
kind of
still talking to Brian. We were talking to Craig.
we kind of had ideas what was going on while it was in dormancy, and when Dave Boblitz started putting together his deal to get the place back, we kind of knew. And I think when that movement started happening, then we went from talking once a month to where we were down to talking every couple of weeks.
Well, and then it was every day.
And then it was every week. And then it was every day for multiple times a day going, okay, well, if we could do this,
It took us 3 months.
It took us 3 months,
Because
yeah.
we went back and forth, and I think we both knew from the start we weren't interested in coming back without the other person.
Yeah.
Because the brain.
Yeah, we share a brain cell. And it went back to in 2000, when was the fire? It was in 2018.
18.
When the fire the fire being down on.
down in Durango. They shut us down because of that.
Right.
And they had us put together, each person did their own business plan. What do we think for the place? And I'd typed something up. And it was kind of everybody agreed that was the thing to go with. And it wasn't accepted, which was okay. But we kind of fell back onto that when the Dave Boblets started talking around and getting the place back up and running.
Personally, though, like, I think we traded back and forth. As you said, I'm not doing it. I got a good thing going out here, and I would say I'm not doing it. I'm not missing every Christmas with my family, and I'm not missing my kids.
But we talk about not doing this, but then the conversation keeps going, and you just.
I think my
that's where we
husband
started
and
laying.
his girlfriend were probably sitting there just being like, "No, you're gonna do it."
Yeah, well, Randy came to me at one point in time and just was like, "So, can you see anybody else taking that up there?"
And that's what Tony.
And I just said, it terrifies, because the amount of time that I had here, it terrifies me that somebody else is going to come in and not really have a lot of the institutional knowledge that we had.
And did
Well,
not
I
have
hadn't-
the heart and soul.
Yeah.
I hadn't been here that long, but for whatever.
But you got it.
reason, I
You sat down and you were like, this is what this place
spent
is.
a lot of time talking to people.
You did. And so,
And I took it personally, and I think my husband, sort of did the same thing. And he's like, you don't want anyone else.
you don't want anybody else doing it. So we kind of were like, okay, if we get talked to in this, because we weren't going to go right out and say you need to pick us. We said, if we get talked to in this, how would we do it? And there was another probably 3 or 4 months of just going over every piece of information that we had on the place for years prior. Financial records, riderships, when they did well, when they didn't do well. And, for me,
You had all this institutional knowledge.
yeah. And for me, I always tell everybody, Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad is where I learned how not to work on steam engines and how not to run a railroad. Because it was done so clunkily to begin with. It's like with the case of the patch on the 5, there was a lot of stuff that was just not.
There's a lot of things I don't fault people for because
Right.
this industry was new.
Was
This
new.
Tourist railroad concept
Yeah.
was brand new. So
Yeah.
I think that there's still a lot we can learn.
There is 100%.
It's evolved, right? Now there's standard operating practices and procedures.
Yep.
And, it's the business of rail preservation
Is
now
different.
a business rather than a bunch of clubs sort of doing one-offs.
Exactly.
And a bunch of volunteers that are here sometimes and not others.
Yeah.
It's a much more consistently managed
Yeah.
in the
It's-
places that are successful.
In the places that are successful.
But I think we both got to a point. I was traveling with my family, and I was in New York spending some time.
Well, the conversation started when you were in
I was
California.
in California,
And
We
it
got
lasted all the way
decided
until you were in New York.
We were.
And finally, I think it just was finally like, you know what? If they called and the price and the money was right, I'll do it. And we both said to each other, well, I'm not doing it unless you're doing it. So
and it
we
didn't
have to
matter-
know that.
I don't think it mattered who was in charge or who did what.
It was just we're not going into it without the other
It's
person.
very rare that you get the business person and the operational person that
Mm-hmm.
are in agreement.
Yeah.
As most railroads, you've got your business and your mechanical or operations team, and they sort of butt heads all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because operations wants to do one thing and finance people want to save money.
Yeah. Or wants to do something different.
Yeah.
So finally, we just said, yeah, I'm not doing it unless you're doing it. And so
Met with them.
she was on the other side of the continent, and I was on a job with my business that I had. And Dave Boblets called and said, we're really interested in being able to sit down with a face-to-face meeting with you. Would you be interested in meeting? I said, sure. And so I came over and I met with the then board first, and they were very welcoming, and they were very open to some of the things that we were putting down on the table. And I was very honest.
What sorts of things were you putting on the table?
Well, they were told, well, you guys, it was July. August?
It was June.
June then. They said, well, you guys can have a Polar Express going this year. And both Rowdy and I said,
No way.
and we had this is how you're going to start. You're going to start with the rail cycles. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. So we went into it with a business plan.
We already had already put the plan together when we first met with them.
With a budget and
Yeah.
so we basically, I think you came in and said, listen, you got to understand that you guys have no say in the day-to-day operations. This is the business plan.
Yeah,
And then
I kind of just laid out, this is how it is, that, you know, we have control. Not saying the board is just a hood ornament or anything, but it's like, you know, the board needs to understand that, you know, some of the decisions in places like this are very fast paced. You can't wait for board approval. You can't wait for board vote. And at the end of the day, we want to see, you know, all the finances. We want it to be open book. I mean, there was just a lot of stuff like that, just simple business stuff, that to be able to be an effective manager, both business and operation, we went in and said, these roadblocks that are 90% of the time in the way, we don't want those roadblocks.
Give me an example of a roadblock.
a lot of boards go back and forth forever about which engine you're running.
Yeah.
They just diddle around and they never make a decision.
They never make a decision.
And, you know, are you doing diesel versus steam? Are you do which steam engine? And we're like, no, it needs to be run like a business, and the decisions need to be made with the managers of the business.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, did we get board approval to go restore the 5? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
But, you know, we're going into it with a confidence that as long as we can justify the case for it, that they'll be supportive.
And so they were very welcoming in that, and we said, well, here you go. We already have basically a plan put together.
And I came back
And
2 weeks after that.
they said, cool. And I laid it down right then. I said, just so you know, you want me to be here, you got to get her back. And I am not talking numbers until I know you have her in the bag. And it's at this point, you don't even talk a salary with me. You go talk to her first. And so to Dave Boblitz's credit, he was on the phone with her, I think, within 3 days.
Now, who's Dave Boblitz?
He's the mayor of Eatonville.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he sort of put together the first board, which they weren't even the official board at the time.
No.
It was just the working committee.
Yep.
And he'd been talking to, you know, Al Harper.
Yeah, he basically just negotiated the whole entire getting the place
And then
back.
formed a new board.
Formed a new board, and yeah.
You know, and then he called me and said, well, we want to do Polar Express and we want to do this and that. And I was, at that point, I was really blunt because for me, it was I didn't need a job because I was doing my own consulting.
Well, that's where we were both at that. We were both just kind of like, we had nothing to lose going into it, so we just spoke our mind.
Because you'd already given up, you'd already moved
Yeah.
on. It was already water under the dam, and so you
Yeah.
really, at this point, had nothing left to lose.
No, we didn't.
Everything left to gain.
No, we didn't. And when you hit the nail on the head.
I was consulting and
Yep.
making good money doing that, and it was sort of we both knew what we were getting into. I knew that I wasn't going to be home. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do X, Y, and Z with my family. I knew that, you know,
I think we both knew that going into doing this, we were going to be giving up a lot.
Yeah.
Did we know how much at that point we would end up ultimately giving up? No, but we knew we were going to be giving up a lot to be involved and get it going
in order
again.
to do that, we went in with this is the plan we've been thinking about
Mm-hmm.
for 3 years now, or 2 years, whatever it was.
Yeah.
3 years.
And so they,
And the board was very welcoming, and they were very responsive, and
They were all about saying yes.
yeah,
they said yes.
they hired her first, and well, then to be a man of my word, I had to come at that point.
Yeah.
So-
I was hired in September,
Yep.
and then Rowdy came back in January because it took me that long to get insurance, to get payroll software,
To get all that set up.
But if they hired you in September, who hired you and what did they do for money?
Well, there was $100,000 left in the Witham bank account
Oh,
from
Yeah.
from
years past.
before the Durango thing.
Yep. So that's what we used to pay the utility bills and the insurance and the lights.
And Al kicked in just a little bit there for a while.
Yeah, a little bit, and then I wrote a grant
You wrote a grant.
that was awarded for that was the first thing I did before it was on payroll,
Yeah.
for $550,000 for startup expenses for the rail bikes.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
awarded,
Who
but-
gave you the grant?
but
But There's a but in there.
Oh, okay.
That grant was supposed to be effective in the end of March, April 1 thereabouts, and then the start of March, through no fault of our own, but through the grantors' sort of failure to make it through all of their own red tape, the grant was pulled. So we had been operating with the assumption that we had $500,000 coming in.
We spent a lot of money.
And we had spent a lot of money and we'd borrowed some money
And
from one of our
Maxed
board
out all the
members.
credit cards and did all that.
yeah,
Well,
well, we didn't have credit cards then either.
no, one of our board members paid for a lot of it. I
Yeah,
paid for a lot of it. You didn't take a salary for a little bit.
yeah. There were quiet checks that I was writing myself to pay for things. We both basically just ended up donating a lot of either our personal finances or our resources, or knowing, okay, I can go this month without having a paycheck if that means that it gets us this much closer to where we need to be operating. And one thing, just everybody kind of thinks that this is just the automatic bam, it was a success. It wasn't. She got pregnant at the worst time possible. We had
Twins, no less.
with twins, no less. It was originally, yeah, it was twins, no less, and
Originally triplets.
it was originally triplets,
Yeah.
and it just I don't think I can really summarize
rough.
the difficulties of from
Personally, from a
First-
business
So this
perspective,
is
it was
late
rough.
22 now?
No,
This is 23.
Oh, you're, okay, so we're in
Yeah.
the next, we're in the last year already.
We're into last year already, and so the rail bikes got kicked off, and due to some difficulties in the manufacture of the rail cycles, there was massive difficulties, and it became we have X number of dollars in the bank, we're heading for the bottom. And
Yeah, we had
in July, we had a donation come in that basically helped
$60,000.
get the railroad side of things really going. It became we looked at it going, you know what, we got to throw a Hail Mary pass, or Mount Rainier Scenic Railroad is going to go out with this massive little fizzle. We're done before we even got going.
Yep.
And so
So it was tenuous.
it was very,
All of last year was
It was
tenuous.
awful.
it was terrible.
It was awful.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
It was awful.
I had more color in my hair last year.
I mean,
Wish you got
personally and
yourself.
but personally and professionally,
It was terrible.
awful.
It almost broke both of us.
Yeah, we both had total mental.
We
Me more than you,
we
but I
were
was pregnant.
we were running out of everything everywhere. We had no money. We had
Neither of us slept.
neither of us slept. In July, we went to the board and said we have to get the trains running.
Neither of us had put, it's.
We were working
submitted
150
timesheets
hours a paycheck.
Every other week, and neither of us had submitted a timesheet for less than 125 hours.
Yeah. And we were chasing our tail in a lot of things. And so we went to the board and said, look, we need to do something. We need to get the trains running a couple years earlier than we anticipated. And so
That means running them last year.
yeah, that was our Hail Mary pass. That was if
We said if we can run trains for 2 months, and we needed 40 people per train.
we needed 40 people per train, we said if we can run trains for 2 months, it'll get us breathing room till we can put something together. And so they said, F it, why not? Let's go for it. And so we threw ourselves, just absolutely
So
threw
last
ourselves
August,
into
the
it.
month of August was,
And you were getting ready to pop.
I couldn't, it was,
You couldn't walk, you couldn't do
my due
anything.
date was October 3rd.
Yeah.
And September 1st was when the twins entered the world.
Which is the
Yeah.
same day we started running.
I
Yeah.
was just going to mention that. And what were you doing in recovery?
Oh, I was on the phone when I was in active labor.
She was on the phone. When she was in active labor, she was on the phone, 100%. So
That's all of the photos of me in the hospital that my husband has. I have my phone with me.
Yeah.
because-
So about mid-August, we put the tickets on sale and announced beginning of August. And by the middle of August, we were looking at it going,
Holy shit.
we're doing something.
Yeah.
We didn't really,
Selling out trains. People,
well, we hadn't started selling them out yet, but we were sitting there looking at it going, oh, maybe this is going to work. Maybe this is going to work. And then the week before, she calls me, she goes, you're on your own, dude.
Well, I
'Cause she was
because
going-
I was.
That's right, you texted me. Because I remember looking at the text going,
I'm out of commission for a day because I was going to put myself on bed rest, so I wasn't going into
Yeah.
labor at that point. And
And-
I told Tony that something was going on,
and yeah,
And
well,
she
she
wasn't
sent me the
going into
text and I
labor.
was like, she's going into labor.
which is
Shit.
a month early.
Yeah, and so she goes into labor, which at this point we had been making the plan for her to be on maternity leave, but that was 2 months out.
That was I mean, we had a maternity leave plan, but I thought I had 2 more weeks.
And so at the end of the day, the week before we start running trains,
It was
she gets
Wednesday I
pulled.
texted you.
Yep, she gets pulled out of the mix, and
I texted you Wednesday, and opening day was Friday.
Yep, she gets pulled out of the mix that week, and now it's me, and I have to do the railroad and the rail cycles at this point. And the rail cycles were just at that point. It was a good model. It was the wrong people.
We didn't have the right management.
We didn't have the right
I wasn't
managers.
there to
Ex-
fix it.
There were issues, and so yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and that's what, I mean, the twins were born September 1st.
which was the first day that you ran trains.
The Morgan was born 3 minutes after we left on our
No,
first trip.
Alfie was.
Alfie was?
Morgan, yeah, Morgan was first, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first train. She
They're fraternal.
yeah, a boy and a girl.
and so the first weekend was emotionally. It was a heavy.
Remember, I was, Morgan was in the NICU,
Mhm.
and I was on the computer and on the phone with your mom, who was.
I
godsend.
shanghaied my mom out of retirement to run the depot.
I mean, I remember I was on the phone, like, just crying in the NICU with your mom. I'm so sorry I'm not there. And, like, I was doing Excel sheets and QuickBooks and the ticketing stuff. And she was a saint, just working through it.
Well, so the first trip went, and it sold good. The second two for that day sold well. The next day was a massive emotional roller coaster for myself.
What happened?
We sold out the first trip, and we sold almost 200% over just on walk-ups.
And at this point, he had told everyone not to talk to me.
Yeah. And so our maximum capacity, because we had tables and chairs in the 900 cars, was 135. Our first trip had 250. And my mom was coming to me going, I have so many people coming up wanting to buy a ticket. And I said, as long as you can keep cramming people on the train, put people on the
And
damn train.
I was updating, like, the Facebook comments and the Google reviews. And I
And-
wanted to get any info I could because he had given, like, talk to Bethan under penalty of death.
Yeah.
orders.
Because she was bugging the hell out of us all the time. And by the end of the weekend, by the end of our first weekend, we made budget.
Now, making budget, what does that mean on the
The
calendar?
40%, the 40 people per train that we had budgeted in order to survive the rest of the year.
You did it in your first weekend.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how we did it.
I don't think we had any emotional band. I did not. I had nothing
No.
left. We were both.
We were-
The tank was empty.
Well, her tank was empty, but she got to relax a little bit.
Kill
You
you.
stack him if you want. We'll show it was promoted.
Staying up
Whack.
24/7 in the NICU with one baby in the fucking
Yeah,
hospital and
yeah.
one baby at home. You're gonna have to edit that out, but.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We did 378 people on one train. On one train, we did
70.
with the 70. And
You do. I mean, that's a pretty heavy train.
it was 4 cars.
Full,
I just said if we got to 135 people, the pre-sales were sold out. I told Mom, I said, if they walk through the door and they want a ticket, you look at them and say it's standing room only. If you're okay with standing, I'll sell you a ticket. And everybody that walked through the door was just like, give me a ticket, give me a ticket, give me a ticket, give me a ticket. So,
And then it did that the next week.
And it did it that day, it did it Sunday, and then we were done. And I was like, okay, well, that was Labor Day.
opening weekend, people got,
It was Labor Day.
and it was the first week we were back.
It was the
So
first week
all
we
the-
were
all the
back.
rail fans
Literally
are out.
Labor Day, as I recall.
Yeah.
It was, but.
And
all the rail
then
fans were out.
we got to the second weekend, and it sold the same way the second weekend. And the merchandise sales inside the baggage car were just insane. And it didn't stop.
We were selling leftover merchandise and stuff that we got from
Just
Costco.
yeah, I would just stuff. And so I remember her calling me several times, going, "I don't know what you're doing out there, but you're doing a thing. Just keep doing it.
Yeah, I was telling him, I was like, "Bud,
Just keep going." I mean, going back to the joke a minute ago, she was going through her own thing, but I had this entire place on my shoulders, and I was running the entire place from the cab of that steam engine. And I had been on empty before, but I mean, I was literally dragging the bottoms of whatever I had left to sit on that locomotive, run rail cycle, do the business side of things, deal with the merchandise. I mean, it was a chore.
By the end of September, our contract with American Heritage would only allow us to do the Polar Express as a Christmas train.
Yep.
But Dave and our board had talked to Al, and I put a proposal together that said we will run a non-branded. It won't even say it's a Christmas train. It'll be a holiday train. We won't have Santa. We won't do elves. We won't have anything on board. But we have to keep running.
We have to keep running. We can't
It's
stop.
the only way we're going to survive. And to their credit, they let us.
Al was very gracious and said, just don't get too greedy. And so
we
we figured out what we needed money-wise, budget-wise, and all that to be able to make it. And we ran just those days to give us the stopgap for the beginning of our year, the next year.
Yeah. So and then I came back.
Well, you got to the end of October, and at the beginning of October, I had to go out and shut Rail Cycle down because it just wasn't working right.
Just wasn't working, wrong management.
Yeah, it needed more attention than what I could give it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we got to the end of October, and I slept for 3 days straight.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
I was on the deathbed.
For your birthday. And
Yeah,
When's your birthday?
October 29th.
On the 26th, okay.
Yeah, so we got done on my birthday. Everybody kind of threw me a
It was the
hoorah.
last day, and you went to bed, and
I was gone for like
you
3
were pregnant
days.
For 2 days, which is unheard of.
Yeah, I was exhausted, to say the least. I was done.
And
It was.
Yeah, and I think at that point you said, I can't do a Christmas train without you. Like.
Well, no, you have to come back. I cannot do this for another month. So we did the Christmas train, and
So you took a little bit of a break, and you came back to the Christmas train? or
well,
did you
we
No. There was a 2-week break.
there was a 2-week break that we used for doing some maintenance stuff on the 70, because the 70, everybody thinks the 70 was plug and play, ready to go. She was worn out. It needed a lot of work.
And we didn't have the money to do it.
We didn't. I was finding parts that we had made for other locomotives, and there was material there to make a part for the 70. That's what we did. Luckily, there was a lot of leftover stuff from American Heritage Railways that we were gearing up to do that work. But for the most part, I made knuckle pin brasses out of old rod brasses from the 17.
Yeah.
You know,
It was.
we were quite literally preserving if there's some life left on a part mentality to get it through Christmas. And Christmas gave us enough money to where we could actually start strategically making.
Tell me about that first Christmas season in the Polar. How did that all go?
Well, it went well.
It went very well.
By October, we had put together our operating schedule for the year. And you and I had put together, well, no, we had that done by August.
We had that done by
We
August.
had that done before I was out.
Yeah, we
had our
were.
operating schedule for the next year that said this railroad hasn't run in the winter, but we don't have an option.
We have
try it.
no option. We have to try. We have to plug the dike with our finger of the money leaving the bank account. And the only way to do that is to go.
I needed 34 people.
Yep.
I mean, we were running a lean budget, so I needed an average of 34 people per train.
Yep.
And, it's at that point, I didn't have the marketing grant, or anything like that. So I was just
34 was your number, but what did you actually end up doing?
156 per train.
Yeah.
Per train.
So it came out better than you were.
Yeah, and I mean, and that
Well,
was
and that was a
the power of
surprise.
Social media and
It to us, it was a
Sure.
massive surprise. So this
Dumb luck.
railroad's never done that.
No.
And guerrilla advertising, Facebook posts.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
was just the
whatever I could-
Facebook, the YouTube, the Instagram.
Yep.
Just the normal social media channels.
I mean,
and
well,
reach
we
an
had,
audience.
we had taken a much different approach with our social media, because the approach was not to be polished and was not to be super professional. It was
Yeah.
very real about this is what's happening, this is
And
what we're doing.
campy and fun and
But people
spontaneous.
responded.
And people have responded to it very, very well. I mean, there's people in the industry that sit back and, oh, I don't think they should be doing
Yeah,
that. But
there's
then
people that don't like it, but the general public.
the general public loves it. And at the end of the day, the general public's who pays the bills.
Well, and there's people like me that go, this is so refreshing, it's so much more fun, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not this stuffy
We don't need to
corporate,
take ourselves seriously.
you know, and it just, puffy chested stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so, just,
Yeah.
you won me over at the word go, you know?
And the whole rest of the year after, I mean, we just had one, okay, well, we need to do this. And we need, for example, we said, okay, well, we can't continue to run at the capacity which we're running because we had the tables and chairs and the 900 cars, which limited us to 150 people max sold.
So we said we need to walk over seats.
We need walkover seats.
So
And
I sent an email. I sent an email to East Broad Top just because I'm a fangirl, and said, "Hey, I saw you guys just had coaches built. Where did you have the coaches built? Do they do seats?"
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Hey, it's actually the place in Cedar Woolley in Washington." So I called the guy, and I left a message, and they called me back 2 hours later and said, "I have extra seats from the White Pass in Yukon. If you can pick them up within a week, I'll sell them to you for like $100 a seat," which they probably cost them $500 a seat.
Yeah.
You just want to
So-
get them out of a
They
shop.
wanted to get them out of the
Sheer
way.
dumb luck. So we rented 2 U-Hauls, and damn it, we were up there.
We were there, and we
Taking
had
seats out.
we had the seats in the cars by
And
the
then
Easter
I
train.
put a Hail Mary volunteer thing out. I was like, if you can be here anytime in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
I need you here, because we just picked up 2 U-Hauls worth of seats.
Yeah, we just picked
What
up.
was the turnout for the
Oh,
volunteers?
it was excellent.
It was excellent. There were and the weather cooperated.
Thank God.
Thank God, we were able to do it. We got the seats in the
So
cars,
we
which
ran
upped
those
our
for the Easter
capacity.
Bunny train, which is sold out, so we added extra days for that.
Mm-hmm.
Easter bunny, great.
Yeah, our Easter Bunny didn't fit in his costume, so one of our volunteers in his hickory shirt and bunny head was the Easter Bunny, and but that's how it's been. It's just been really, really quickly responding to things,
And it's being for
and our board is
Our board
tremendously
has
good
been
about it.
good about it with the quick pivots that we have been doing.
You know, and none of them come from a railroad background, so the amount of whiplash that they all have to have when
Mm-hmm.
we go in and say we need to spend this.
Yeah.
I need a
Just
check
swing
for
them out of
60
money.
grand to
Yeah.
get the tires for the 5, or hey, we've got an opportunity to buy 20 grand worth of seats right now.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do it.
Yep. Here's the
been
business case. Go
Tremendous.
go do it. I mean, and those seats paid for themselves in the first month.
First, yeah.
So who's your board president these days?
Betty Capistani, who is the director of economic development for Pierce County, and she's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
It's fair to say. Bev, our treasurer,
Is
tremendous. I mean, the railroad wouldn't be here without Bev. She's
Yeah.
loaned the railroad money to get started, and she's been tremendously understanding and supportive of the day-to-day operations.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 2 local business guys, Rich Williams and Seth Botcher, Byron Adams.
Yeah.
They're all local, but they've got
It's
good business heads.
very rarely, especially in this industry, where you can walk in and sit down with your treasurer of your board and say, I need to spend $50,000 and this is
And
why.
she just sort of goes,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
well,
Bring me the receipt.
if you need it.
Yeah.
She's not excited about it, but she goes, well, all right. And we'll say, Bev, there's going to be an ROI on this. And she goes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think there are things she goes, why are we spending $70 a month on cat food or whatever? it is?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's because we got the cats, because the rodent problem. And she just sort of goes, okay, well,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, I've also paid that in cat t-shirts on the internet, just selling cat t-shirts. And
Yeah.
she's like, we're selling cat t-shirts? And you're like, yeah, we're
Okay.
selling cat t-shirts. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you wanna go and purchase some big heavy things in faraway lands. Well, let's just talk about that. We'll just have to figure out how to present that to the board. But okay.
Yeah, I called my board president and I said, hey Betty, I've got 3 passenger cars. I put earnest money, I didn't have board approval, so I put the earnest money down myself. Sorry about that, I didn't have time to waste. And she was, well, we still have, a little bit of fluff in the budget here and there, and, we're just gonna have to work that out, but.
By the way, what's your recipe for chocolate cake?
Actually, that was the conversation. She was baking a cake for her dad and her son. She's great.
Yeah.
So we've just had the first anniversary
We have.
of Rebirth. So
It's.
if we look back at it, what are the big takeaways?
It doesn't feel like it's been a year.
It's been like 2 minutes.
It feels like it's been a lifetime. Just the amount of
Okay.
what we've done in the last year. The two of us are finally to a point where we're working,
Back to
100.
8 hours.
No, we're still working hundreds.
Okay, all right.
But there's a little bit better. I guess you could say we feel like we're on a little bit firmer ground.
For my kid's birthday.
Yeah.
Where they ate hot dogs the whole time.
Yeah,
It's their father.
it is.
And I think the one core thing, we had a colleague come up here that had been in the industry for a long time, and now he's off more in the state regulatory side now. And but he was up for family vacation and just swung by, and we went to breakfast and dinner a couple of times, and we were chatting things over. And the way that we are with our people is that we're focusing on the people. You're not going to see us saying you have to work a holiday because that's when we make our money.
I won't do that.
You did it on accident, but
Okay. I accident-
I don't want to run on Easter, and we ran on Easter.
I messed up the schedule. On Easter,
When I was here the first time, I called her boss mom.
but for me, I'm tremendously grateful for Rowdy, despite what I'd say otherwise. For the staff we have for Brian. I mean, Brian's allergic to cameras, but
At
this
the-
railroad
at-
wouldn't be here without Brian. We've got tremendously dedicated crews. I mean, the staff and the volunteers are, everything.
There are a lot of folk think that we just had a plug and play, ready to go railroad handed to us, and it was anything but. The grass was this tall on the railroad.
I mean, I think, looking at, we have the next 2 years planned out. And I think you and I are looking at it going, everyone goes, well, what's next after that? And we're like, we need to take a week off.
Yeah, we get the next 2 years done. It's rest and relax, and just let the machine do its thing before we decide what's next.
So can you clue us in? Can you give us a spoiler alert about what these next 2
More
years are going to be like?
more trackage, better, longer runs, more diversity in the excursion being offered. Not the same cookie cutter thing that this place has been doing for the last 40 years.
Yeah,
Parlor car,
package.
the ability to offer, a rail cycle and railroad package deal. It just responsible growth for the most part.
Two
But
things. I think we want to reopen the museum and we're going to do facilities work here that will also allow us to, this building would be beautiful for events and weddings, but, we got to put some concrete on the floor and.
Figure out how to keep it from getting all, covered in oil and stuff.
Yeah, but those are things that are reasonable to do. I think that.
So you'd wheel all this stuff out and then have like polka dances and stuff?
Why not?
no, well, you have dinners, and if you want to rent the place for a wedding and that kind of thing. I mean, these things move. You can move them pretty easily, and
So they do roll okay?
they roll okay. And it's actually good to roll them every once in a while.
Just
Anyway.
kind of helps keep the bearings.
Keep the
kinda-
bearings freed up, move oil up and down and pistons, make sure things don't seize in place.
You don't
It's
get flat spots. Just-
well, that's people think that that's a myth, but the tires on the 5 are out around because it sat for 20 years. You know.
Coming back in is just from the ambient moisture in the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
70 was covered in rust.
Yep. It was covered in rust, so there was a lot of work we had to do there. Took a lot to wake her up. Now that she's woke up, she's doing really. It's just, when the place is cleaned up and nice, it's a beautiful venue.
Fantastic location.
You get the mountain peeking out from behind the foothills. The sunsets up here can be nice. So it's.
So when we look back at this, when we look back at the last couple of years of your lives, is this all worth it?
I hope so.
I don't think we know yet.
I don't think we know yet.
I don't think I will know until my kids are adults.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where we.
That's like 2 years from now.
Well, if we go in mini mart years, yeah.
No, I don't know what that impact is. I am tremendously grateful for my husband, who is supportive and understanding of. Well, he doesn't understand it.
Well, Randy doesn't either, but she goes along with it.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have significant others that just sort of say, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you got to do, because apparently you got to do it, and. Just sort of says, "Oh, hi, Rowdy," whenever I'm on the phone, and
yeah, that Rowdy again. Yeah, it is. But she called me, Tony.
But I don't.
That's a I like to think that it is just because we're bringing delight to people that didn't know it was here. We're keeping something alive. It's been a big chunk of my life.
And I don't mind saying, just having been here for the day, you two absolutely just love what you're doing, don't you?
It's a love-hate relationship.
I'm seeing my kids growing up here.
Yeah.
Martin.
At the end of the day, I see what Mini Mart brings to the table here, and his apparent love and epitome for the place. And to a certain extent, it goes the same way for our younger volunteers. I got a kid that comes around who's 14 years old.
Like you were.
Well, and that's, you kind of get that retrospective and look back at it and go, holy crap, I'm already to that point where now I'm in a position where I'm beginning to hand it down to the next people.
That's what Aaron said about seeing you.
Yeah.
Aaron was a volunteer up here and seeing you up here as a 6th grader.
Yeah, exactly. It's slowly for me. It's hard to process that in life because, it means we're getting older.
Well,
but
we're 36, but we're the old timers here.
we are, except for Brian.
Well, with Brian's.
He's an institution. He's gonna be like the guys on
Brian's a museum piece.
Yeah, he's gonna be like Pirates of the Caribbean. He's just gonna slowly absorb into the walls.
Yeah.
But I hope that it's worth it to the point where we're bringing more people in and keeping it alive because the
it has a huge impact on the local economy.
Massive impact. The locals don't quite understand the impact that the railroad has on their economy, but
If you go
they're
downtown
starting
Elby
to.
and watch people load, I mean, that's got to be
Oh, I mean,
apparent
the
to
shop
someone.
Oh, yeah.
owners in LV do, the lodging places do.
Well, the owner of the LB Market stopped me this morning. He said, "Hey, when you guys take your break in January, we need to pick a day because I want to throw you guys a party.
Wow.
We're gonna move everything aside in the store, we'll bring in a catered dinner and bring your crew down, and it's an evening on us just simply because they wouldn't, when we first got going, they first got going. And so we worked in tangent with them quite a bit, and if it hadn't have been for us buying hot chocolate from them and for the Christmas thing, they wouldn't have made it through the winter. And then, he watches his sales do the ebb and flow with the days that we're running.
Well, I mean, the gas station says, like, I have an extra person on staff that is run,
Mhm.
sales are up 33%.
So
That's significant.
it is massively significant.
And that's what we want when we look at economic development, when we look at clean economies,
Well,
when we look at heritage and all of those
The
things.
railroad, these towns are here because the railroad was here.
Yes.
So you're taking historic infrastructure and you're just repurposing it to have the same impact that it did.
At the end of the day, people always, they'll jump on some things I say about preservation and what we're doing. At the end of the day, we are preserving exactly what the 70 was built to do. The 70 was built for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to generate revenue for its owner. And we are doing that. We are doing that every day with it. At the end of the day, it is still a tool that is, at this point, at the spear point of economic drive in this area, aside from the big rock,
Big rock.
the mountain.
Mount Rainier.
Oh, yeah.
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 But that's what these things are, and we're preserving them much the same way that they were ran in the day. And at the end of the day, they are just tools, but we're able to hand those tools down. So
They're tools, but they're pets.
pretty much,
They're part of your soul.
they can get to be that way.
I think you've always wanted to do this, and this is an industry I fell into on accident. But
I
I'm
don't-
getting to the point that I'm halfway. I don't know if you always liked it.
I always liked it.
I like
So
boats.
it's what happened for me was that my uncle bought a piece of property on a crossing outside of Elby.
Okay.
And we would come up in the winter, in the summers, and visit while the train is running. And from 1992, when I'm just a young kid, that big, mini Mart's age, from then up and until 12, whenever we'd visit, I just, I cannot not remember. I have very faint memories of where they were in South Prairie and all that, but I cannot not remember a time in my life where the 5 wasn't there, the 91 wasn't there. The 70 came into my life much later, but these engines have always been a part of my life. And so when I started on it just by sheer accident in 2000, it just became my life for the most part, because I couldn't get away from it.
I mean, for me, I think it's an accident, but I'm certainly not getting away from it. But
No.
this is where my kids are growing up.
Now you get where you're me at 35 years old, and you got
36.
what?
36.
Oh Jesus,
Yeah,
I know.
sorry about
you guys suck.
Good job.
But you got what, from 24 years into it at this point.
that.
It's,
Pretty much in your blood by
at that point, what else do you do?
I'm sort of figure at some point you'll be wherever you are, and I'll be on a boat if Tony hasn't killed me by then, and we'll still be bickering about whatever business decisions we made or didn't make. And I don't know if either of us will think it's worth it, but that's what we did. So what are you gonna do? Second guess it?
Yeah. Either that or we'd be sitting on a bench down there in front of the depot bickering, signing autographs or something.
Drink then.
We could drink then.
That might be worth it.
Damper on it, the battery's literally gonna just die.
So
Good.
Okay. So
good.
We were just coming